You know, I said my last video was a little bit awkward, but this feels a lot more awkward than anything else. So yeah, we are back on NBA 2K20 for my team, which is not a sentence I thought I would say in a hot minute. But I did want to make a video, again, posting back on the main channel here, just kind of talking about a few things. The reason why I wanted to do this too is because there is like a free 100 overall pack that you guys can get, and I figured as I'm talking it'd be a lot better for me doing something in the background rather than just talking and rambling. At least you guys have something in the background and we get to open up a free 100 overall pack in the background to end it all. So let's just, start talking. But my main purpose of making this video is kind of just to talk about, where I think the future of my team needs to be, especially next year. Because as far as I know right now, there hasn't been any information other than one blog, I think, that had a little bit to say. Kind of just talking about like a new mode like called King of the Court and stuff like that. Which I honestly, like thinking about my team and where we kind of need to be in the future of things, like I really think it just comes down to the fact that they need to completely scratch this entire year. Like they did the gambling thing, they got what they wanted. I don't really even think that they made money this year. Like obviously, like they had to have done something because clearly they kept doing it. So like again, they obviously had to have made some type of profit because there's no way that they went full gambling, like my casino mode only, and didn't turn a profit. I think it's pretty safe to say that the number one thing that needs to happen next year is that we absolutely need to have an auction house back in the game. Like, there's really no way that they don't have one, because, like, that was, like, kind of the whole thing about, my team this year. I think that steered a lot of people away from the game, is that you have a mode that basically was built off the auction house. Now, I understand why they may have went away from, the auction house in a sense, because even people like me who did have, the MT sponsors and everything, like, I understand that in their head they were like, oh, we're losing money, we got to do away with this. But like, again, the thing is, when it came down to promoting MT and whatnot, like that only happened because the mode was so, gambling only even before the auction house was taken out, that people kind of had to go the MT buying route. Now, I understand some people considered it cheating. Some people were like kind of defending it, obviously. There's a lot of different ways that you could look at it. But regardless, though, the auction house, I think, is the number one thing that needs to come back. But I wanted to actually, like I said, make this video and kind of talk about some other things, because I think the auction house is obviously the main one that everybody's going to say, like, oh yeah, we need back and everything, and or at least the majority of people do. I mean, I honestly, like, scrolling through Twitter and everything, like, I legitimately have not found a single person that enjoys the fact that the auction house is not a thing. Like, I know there was people that, like I said, were, like, against the auction house because of the whole MT thing, and some people considered it cheating. Like, it was a whole ordeal, realistically, with the auction house in the beginning. But I think over time, people realize that not having an auction house is just way worse for the mode than it is, like, obviously better to not have it. Especially because, like I said, 99% of the things that I saw on Twitter were all just complaining about the fact that the player market, there's no value in it. Like, it literally just comes down to gambling. And the thing that really surprised me most is that even after I stopped playing this game and everything, I didn't realize how much worse it actually got, because there was a lot of people that I saw that were saying this, that I didn't even know that there was cards that you couldn't even get in the player market. You could only get them through buying packs, which I don't really understand. Like, I get why that's a thing, but at the same time, like, it's still 2K at the end of the day, to the point where, like, I know how this company works, and I'm almost willing to bet that obviously those were all the best cards in the game, and on top of that, the other content that you guys were getting, I don't even want to say we, because again, I haven't been playing, but I'm almost willing to bet that the other content that was in the game is probably not nearly as, like, good as the actual, pack only cards. So, like, when you're limiting your own mode like that, like, really badly, like, obviously that's going to set the community in a really bad way. For those that have still been following me in my other adventures and whatever, if you guys are subscribed to the second channel, which I did drop the link and everything in my community tab. So if you guys were interested, feel free to check that out if you guys are interested in MLB The Show and some other games. I've only been posting MLB right now. We have 2 videos up on the channel. First one, if you guys enjoy Old School Bio, you guys are going to love that video, so be sure to go check that out. But yeah, if you guys have been following my other adventures, like I said, I have been playing a lot of MLB, and the reason, obviously, like, MLB, if you guys do play that game, it's not even the best this year. Like, this year has been very annoying. as far as like, you know, basically it's the equivalent of playing 2K and getting a lot of like greens that just miss, like, if that makes any sense. The one thing about MLB that I really do like is the game is very rewarding. Now, even this year, they are being a little bit weird with cards only being in packs or whatever, but they still do have other really good content in their ranked game mode, in their BR game mode, and just some other modes that they do have in the game as well. And that is a big thing that I think 2K really is missing. Like, I think when you guys, you know, load up this game or whatever, like, you obviously want to feel like what you're doing is going to be rewarded. Like, obviously the time that you put into the game, you need to feel like you're getting some type of reward. And honestly, I haven't scrolled through this mode, but at this point, we are in, what, July? We're at the end of July. So, like, obviously I know from other years, like, the game's life cycle is basically done. So, when you obviously have a mode, like, right now, there's going to be, you know, I guess somewhat of rewards that will look good, but they're probably not the best. Like, I know you guys do, or, you know, obviously just from logging in, you do get a 100 overall Dennis Rodman, which is cool. Like, Rodman normally is one of the more underrated cards in my team, but, like, obviously, like, I feel like there's the consistency of the rewards have not been there, even though, again, I haven't been playing. Like, with the amount of creators that I've seen quit this game, like, that consistency definitely isn't there, and I'm assuming it wasn't there the entire year. One thing that I do think that 2K does really need to do next year is definitely add in a BR style mode. Like, something that, you know, a lot of players can go in and if they really wanted to, they can go in and try to sweat and get those 10-0 rewards. Very similar to what their old school, like, Unlimited was and everything. Like, that is kind of what we need back in the mode, but it needs to be more also like the draft. Now, I understand BR works a little bit different because, again, obviously, you know, you have 5 starting pitchers, you have, like, 10 bullpen arms, whatever it is, and then obviously you have 9 guys in your lineup and then 4 guys on the bench. And obviously this game would be a little bit different because you only have, you know, 13 players or whatever. But I still feel like there's no reason to not be able to have some style of a BR mode like that, because, again, like, it still could work in this game and could work very well. And I honestly think that that is what we are missing. You know, I know they did that with the draft a little bit and they tried to make the mode good, but the problem is that there was no real, like, in my opinion at least, and maybe you guys agree, maybe you don't, but there wasn't any real rewarding factor to the draft mode. Like, it was very clunky. It still felt like it was just kind of like, it almost still felt like they were just still trying to get money out of it because of the whole ticket thing and the whole VC, like, thing. Like, that's, like, the stuff that, again, like, just needs to change. Like, there's just different things that they could do that I just don't understand why they won't. And, like, again, like, I don't know if it's, again, because they're the only basketball game and maybe they feel like they don't have to, but that's still really no way to treat your community. I'm still going to reiterate the fact that I genuinely think that is one of the biggest things that could change this mode. Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of people do get, you know, the gameplay style of things pretty twisted. And the reason why I say that is because gameplay is never going to be, and this is, I know this may sound crazy or whatever, and I don't know, maybe some people will disagree with me. Me personally, though, I don't think gameplay will ever be good in this game again. And there's one main reason, and I said this in my last video, and there's a few comments that were like, oh my god, like, that's not what it is, blah, blah, blah. Genuinely saying this, the comp community way back when is what ruined the game. And I don't mean the people, like the content creators and everything. That's not really what ruined it. It was the fact that they put in the 250K tournament. It's my opinion. You don't like it, like, that's fine. You can disagree. Like, I don't care, whatever. But the reason why I say that is because literally ever since they put in the tournament, since 2K19, there's been a massive shift of how the community went. And it makes sense. Obviously, people are going to try to be as good as possible. Like, and I'm not saying you obviously shouldn't try to win, but there's a difference between just playing and having fun and, you know, using different cards and still trying to win versus having to use, you know, the best cards in the game and having to use the cards with the best SIGs and the best jump shots and everything. Like, that's really where the game went kind of downhill for me. And I just, again, like, just saying that, like, that's why I think that the gameplay will never be, like, kind of what people want it to be, like, ever again. Like, I mean, you know, a lot of people always say, like, oh, why don't they just remaster old games? To be honest with you guys, that wouldn't even matter because the community is not what it was back then. Back then, it was all about, you know, just playing the game and trying to be better than other people, but, like, doing it by not exploiting the game. And unfortunately, like, where we are, it's more about exploits and more about having the best glitchy stuff on their on the cards rather than just using different styles of cards. Like, you know, like the thing, just to kind of prove my point, like if you go back to 2K16, like one of the best cards you can use in the beginning of the year was Blake Griffin, right? Blake now would not get used unless he could play, like, either play the 5 or play like the 3 and have to have, you know, his jumper on this and, you know, all sorts of just kind of stupid stuff like that, you know. And I think that's really, again, the big difference about why gameplay really is never going to be good again, and that's fine. So my reasoning about, or my I should say, like my thing, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I don't know what word I'm trying to say, but the point I'm trying to make here is that it really just comes down to the content that we get outside of the gameplay. And I think that is what could make the game. And, you know, again, like, they're doing this 100 overall pack thing and everything, like, and I've said this in the past too a lot. Like, you know, if you look at games like Madden, if you look at games like even the new college football game that came out, like, if you look at a lot of these games, like, the solos are what make the promos, in my opinion at least, because, like, yeah, you may not be able to get the top tier card every single time, but you're going to be earning a lot of coins, you're going to be earning a lot of rewards, and you are going to be earning, you know, at least one of the cards at the end of the entire solo. Now, even if, again, you look back right now at MLB, they do a lot of the programs, and again, maybe the programs aren't the best right now, but they still do have a lot of rewards that you do get for playing the game. I just started a brand new no money spent account on that game, and I played for, if anything, probably like 8 hours total over the last like 3 days, and the team I have is already able to compete a lot with, you know, a lot of the big, you know, God squads in the game. And the thing about, I guess, the difference too is, again, just to prove my point, that MLB is not worried about comp. They've made that very clear. Like, if you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you can perfect every single, you know, every single ball that gets thrown to you. It does not matter. Probably half of them will be outs. So they don't care, and that's fine, because, like, it's annoying, don't get me wrong, and there's a lot of issues with the gameplay, but I still think the content is very usable in that game. And I just think that that is what 2K needs, is they need content that balances out the game, because when you have it all pack only, that is ultimately what destroys the mode. So we have obviously covered the draft mode, we obviously covered you know, the content, we covered the auction house. One of the other things that I think really needs to just be brought back is the way that they work with the community. Now, I understand 110% that the wave that I was even a part of, you know, I don't want to say ruined it, but I understand why they may be hesitant on getting new creators and everything, because they did the whole Next Maker deal, and that was a great idea in theory until it came down to actually listening to the creators. And that was like, you know, again, like, you could blame some creators, you could blame whatever, but at the end of the day, like, the feedback was there. I can vouch for a lot of the people that were, you know, giving feedback. Like, the feedback was there. I promise you guys. Like, you would tell, you know, I'm not going to mention anybody else's names, but even if you were in my stream saying, like, hey, like, I really think this needs to be fixed and this needs to be fixed, and if there's a lot of people saying, like, hey, this needs to be fixed, like, I would pass the feedback on to who I was able to, and obviously try to, you know, at least hope that something would change. The problem is, nothing ever got changed, because they were too worried about making money and not making the community, like, happy, which, like, that obviously is a big deal. And I think, like, you know, that is a huge issue that needs to kind of get changed moving forward. Like, if we're gonna do the whole Next Maker thing, we're gonna give people logos and everything, like, that has to mean something more than just like, oh, this person streams the game and doesn't badmouth us, like, let's give them a logo. Like, that can't be all that the logo realistically means. I think, like, another big thing that really is an issue is, like, even the quality of, like, locker codes and the quality of just rewards again, but, like, mainly just, like, locker codes and stuff that we used to get compared to now. Like, when you look at, you know, back like some of the locker codes we used to get in, like, 2K19 and stuff, like, even if you look back at the 2K19 triple threat boards, like, stuff like that is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, the stuff that we used to get, and I mean, 2K19 had so many packs, so many things to actually spend money on as well, but it was still a rewarding game mode. And, like, that's, like, again, like, what I'm really trying to get at here is, like, they could do the whole money thing. Like, that's not an issue. You want to put the best cards in the game only in packs, like, it's gonna be annoying, but, like, you give people the ability to at least still make MT. And if somebody has to play the game, 3-4 hours just to buy one card, fine. That's fine. In my opinion, like, that's kind of the whole point. Like, you don't want to spend money. You should have to grind a little bit more. Like, you even look at a mode like Domination. Like, Domination to me used to be rewarding. Like, you would do it and play it and get done with everything and be like, yes, like, I could do this, like, and it felt good. Now it's like you do Domination, you're like, I just spent all that time for, like, a token that gets me a card that's going to be outdated in a week. Like, what is that? I'll even be honest, too. Like, I feel like point guard cards and, like, the whole out of position thing, like, that is another thing that, in my opinion, needs to go. Like, I don't know. Honestly, like, that's another question for you guys. Like, let me know if you guys actually like the whole, point guard out of position thing. Because me personally, like, I think the out of position thing works for cards that it makes sense. Like, to me, like, when you start putting, like, Kristaps and you start putting, like, Wemby and you start putting, like, all these other, like, big, tall guys at, like, the small forward position even, like, to me, like, that just is part of what ruins the game. Like, I feel like that's when it stops being fun for me, at least. Like, let me know what you guys think about that, because it's like, again, you have all these trees at small forward, then they start putting guys like LeBron and KD and, like, I'm trying to think of, like, some other, like, Paul George, like, Melo. Like, when you start putting all those guys at point guard, it, like, to me, like, that's when, like, the game starts kind of going downhill a little bit. So, like, let me know what you guys think. If you guys like the out-of-position cards, if you don't, like, I'm just curious, because, like I said, me personally, like, I think that is a big reason of what kills the game 9 times out of 10. Me saying that actually just reminded me. So I had this idea forever ago that I said on stream, and at the time, like, a lot of you guys did agree and think that it's a good idea. So I kind of had this idea about the whole position locks and everything, basically to get rid of position locks. However, if you get rid of position locks, that opens up a lot more things for, like, squad builders and stuff like that. But, like, I honestly think that if you do, like, get rid of position locks, like, I think a big thing that should happen is you should honestly make it where, like, if you do run guys like Giannis at the 1 or LeBron at the 1 or, again, KD at the 1, like, their stats should go down. Similar to what happens in my league where, like, basically, like, if you have, like, LeBron who's a 98 and you do run him at point guard, like, his ball handling stats should be limited. Now, I understand the counter to that is people will say, oh, well, LeBron did play PG or LeBron is a PG, like, whatever. Like, obviously, this is a fantasy-style mode, and again, I get the argument from both sides, but I think that is a kind of a way to balance everything out, because even, like, looking at the screen, like, Ben Simmons, right? Like, Ben Simmons is technically a point guard, and that is fine. You can run Ben Simmons at the 1, and I think that does kind of make sense, but if you do that, like, you have to be able to knock some of his stats. Like, we should never get a Ben Simmons at the 1 that can shoot, because if you're going to play the realism thing, like, LeBron was never a great three-point shooter. So you shouldn't be able to run LeBron out the 1 and have him, with the best dribble sigs in the game and also have a 99 three-pointer with every shooting badge in the game. Like, again, to me, like, that is what is a way to balance it out and keep the game actually somewhat fresh. Because, like I said, you run these guys at the 1, you run, these other tall guys at the 3. Like, that's fine, but they cannot be able to speed boost down the court and zigzag through, things. Like, to me, like, again, that's just a good way to balance everything out. So there you guys go. We got a free 100 overall pack, and if you guys are smart, you're like, yo, why is he pointing? Is he lazy and doesn't want to make a thumbnail? You got it. Because, again, I'm not trying to make this video to get a million views and whatever. Like, I'm just honestly here to talk to you guys. So we're going to cheese the thumbnail as much as we can. 100 overall pack, though, unsellable. Big shock there. That's another thing we need to get rid of, like, ASAP, dude. So I don't even know who I can pull in this pack. We're going to have some fun, though, here and see what we can get. And, okay, things are glowing. I've never seen this pack animation either, so I don't know what's going on here. Is my screen about to blow up? What's going to happen? Okay. You know what? Small forward. Oh, my God. Is it? Did I pull James Worth? Bro. Yeah. All right. Yo, let me know down below. Is this a good card? Did I pull a good card, or is this some cheeks? I need to know. Is this a good card, or is this some cheeks? Like, I actually need to know. And if you're curious as to why I have Pink Diamond Wemby on this team, I'm letting you guys know right now, forever ago, like, I'm talking forever ago, I got a little too drunk on a Friday, and for some reason, I came home and bought Wemby. I don't know why, but that is what I decided to do. I mean, is this a good card? Did I pull a steamer, or did I pull, like, one of the worst. I mean, bro can't make a shot. Or is it me? It might be me. I don't know. But this is kind of this is an interesting one. I'll give it that. I mean, James Worthy. Woo!